Hey Capricorn. You guys are troublemakers, and I know that. I know that about you. As much as you show up and you get your things done, you bring with you a certain intense energy. I really like it. I really enjoy you guys. I laugh so much with Capricorn energy. I've told you that before, but we crack up. And what's really fun about May, I'm just going to put this out there right away, is that Uranus, this is the big item in astrology for May. I'm sure any of you who can, follow what's going on, there's this big thing going on, which is that Uranus is moving from Aries into Taurus. So for Capricorn, we are having a big energetic, this is a big one. It's moving into your 5th house. Taurus is your 5th house. It's a sister sign, another earth energy, right? Which makes this transit, it's going to be personal for you, right? So the next 7 or 8 years, it's going to be slow moving, kind of working away underneath the surface. But here's the thing, it's revolutionizing. 5th house energy is your heart energy. It's how you kind of creatively express yourself in the world. It's romance. And here's the thing with Uranus, it is this electric revolutionary planet. The energy there wants to get to the truth. Not the way that Saturn does, where it's like, how are we practically going to readjust this stuff? How are we going to practically address things? The thing with Uranus energy is that, excuse me while I reassess here. The thing with Uranus energy is that it wants to get to the truth of your soul, your mission in life, So it's not going to let you just settle for something that's pretty good. That's a pretty good career move. That's a stable financial move, right? So this is going to be a little challenging for you guys because it's going to ask you to really, really look. Is that really working for you? Is it? Yeah, I know you're making a good salary and it's logical. Great. But is it really working for you? And that's why I think this transit's going to be very interesting for you over the next few years. It's going to help you assess where you are really expressing your true self, where you are really expressing yourself from the heart, and where you're not, where you're just doing what you need to do to be a good provider, to be a good part of the community, to be a good family member, to show up. You guys are solid. You will show up, but sometimes to the detriment of your soul, right? So you're getting called. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of energy in Taurus in your 5th house. So in general, even without this big transit, we have a new moon in Taurus on the 15th, the same day as Uranus is going into Taurus. We have Mercury in Taurus. So that's all happening. And then of course we head into Gemini season. And Gemini season's 6th house energy, and this is where I would say that there's a duality going on here for you between checking in with your heart and checking in with your body. Both of those things are going to be really important for Capricorns in May. This is a great assessment point. I think May in general, there's a lot of assessing going on. People are taking a moment and really checking in, like, is this working for me? Is this not? And for you, I think it's just very personal. And let's see, what else do we have? We have Venus in Cancer on the 19th. So that's in your opposite sign. Very romantic. Very romantic. It's going to be highlighting that. There's a lot of supportive energy for Capricorn actually in May. So even though you have kind of this intense shift going on with what's influencing you, you also have a lot that's supporting you. Full moon in Scorpio in your 11th house of your community and your platonic friendships. Thinking about what you want those communities to look like. Do you have the friendships you want? Do you want to be more invested in community? How do you want to revolutionize your world? So that's going to be a beautiful full moon for Capricorns. I think it's going to be just a gorgeous night in general. You know what? That full moon is actually in Sagittarius. I just realized that. It's in Sagittarius, your 12th house. So never mind. Your 12th house, spiritual house. It's a spiritual house. It's the house that reassesses where you are in your spiritual placement. So that's going to be kind of a deep one, actually. I've been thinking about the full moon in Scorpio because I'm filming it right before that happens. I'm filming right now right before that happens. I'm so glad I caught myself on that. Okay. Let's look at these cards. There's a lot going on here. So we have the Ten of Wands, the King of Pentacles, and the High Priestess. Speaking of checking in, speaking of where you're putting your effort and where you're putting your energy. Ten of Wands is the first card that came out. And whenever I see this card, it's like, oh, you are taking on way more than you need to. And not only that, but this card is paired with two that really speak to this. I talk to you guys a lot about how you keep showing up for things that no longer serve you, or that wear you out, or that just utilize your energy. And it can also be you can keep feeding mentally some part of your life that you feel like you need to show up for. But these two energies. King of Pentacles, where are you planting your seeds? Where are you planting them? And what do you want to see grow? You know, if you're not a big fan of roses, are you going to really spend all that time and energy tending to those plants? Even though you don't really like roses? I mean, I don't know, maybe you love roses or whatever plant that takes a lot of time to, you know, to wait for it to grow. You have to prune and make sure that the plant is healthy. It takes a lot of attention to the soil and the nutrients that you're giving it. You want to make sure that whatever you are planting is something that you actually want to see sprout. So that at the end of the year, when we get back to your birthdays, you're not sitting there thinking, why did I put all that effort into it? This is really showing me that there's an assessment here. What are you holding? What's illuminating your heart chakra? Because we are in Taurus season and there's no messing around. Same with the High Priestess. This is the intuitive side of it. So here's the practical. How do you want this stuff to show up in your life? Have an eye on that long-term prize, right? But the High Priestess is intuitively, what does that look like? This is energy of sitting between the two worlds, right? And that's a lot of what's going on with Capricorn this month. There is a sense of you needing to check in with your spirit and check in with your body. Your body will give you clues all the time, and I know Capricorn, that you are one of the signs that your body will tell you very quickly if something is stressing you out or if something is making you feel good and energized. Your body gives you feedback like nobody's business. There's feedback here. There is feedback here. Now, I'm not saying everything has to change this month, but all these energies are telling me just think about what you really want to see burgeon and grow. Where you really think things matter, right? Where things really matter to you and where they don't. And that's really about your life goals, what you want to create, the leadership you want to bring to the world, the products you want to sell, or the community you want to build, or the work you want to do, all of that. What does that look like for you? That's going to be a huge theme just overall. So just, taking those times out, maybe check in, do a little journaling, write down a little list, whatever works for you. Next three cards as we hit the middle of the month. Lovers, the Hermit, and the Five of Pentacles. So, yeah, romance is strong in May. Romance is strong. Like I said, fifth house energy is romantic. It's the heart chakra. So Taurus energy is very symbiotic for you. It's a great energy. Not only that, but we have Venus and Cancer in your opposite sign. Venus rules love and it's in your opposite sign, which is your relational sign. There's a lot of energy telling me that, your relationships are also going to be really, really crucial this month. Some of you may be having a lot of romance. Now, here's the thing. The Lovers is showing up with two very significant energies here. You know how I was saying check in with your body and your body will give you feedback immediately about what is right and like what's working for you and what's not? There's something going on with your relationships. I think especially your romantic relationships, but it could also be close partnerships, people you're close to. That is showing me right here. There are certain relationships that make you feel drained, exhausted, shut out, worthless, tired, misunderstood. There are certain people who maybe aren't treating you well. Maybe there are certain relationships where you really like the person or you're really inspired by the person, but for some reason you're just going into self-doubt mode. Maybe it's the way they treat you. Maybe it's just that you have a little voice inside of yourself that says you need to do better. You need to be better. Right? You guys are really hard on yourselves, generally speaking. It's one of your things. You need to do better. You need to be better. There's also something to certain connections are there to be a mirror to us and to teach us something about how we value ourselves. And I do think there may be some relationships that make you stop and think about how you're valuing yourself. Think about how you are valuing yourself. The hermit is the most internal seeking energy. I always imagine him with his lantern. It's like he is outside walking, searching, seeking in the world. But what he's really doing is he's taking that lantern and he is going into the depths of his own being and being very clear with where that mirror is showing pieces of self that maybe we have a little dialogue in our mind that makes us feel shut out and tired and cold. Relationships are the most effective mirror we have to know when we are having something that's not honoring ourselves. And there are many themes here already in this reading that show me you guys have a tendency to shut out that self-honor a little bit because you are like, I've got to get this done at all costs. I have respect for that, but there is a point where it starts to show up as this exhaustion. Checking in with body and spirit. Huge this month. Huge. Now, I'm looking at these last three cards. Tower, Ten of Cups, Ace of Cups. This is pretty profound. When we just looked at what we were looking at there with the Hermit and the Five of Pentacles and the Lovers, right? This is the karmic side of relationships, and I don't like to use that word too much because I'm really of the school of thought that we're always vibrating. And we're in communication with our own sense of self and how we value and view ourselves, and that gets reflected back in who we come through. But there are people who really serve as that beautiful mirror to help us understand where we are not serving, right? And that causes often the Tower to show up, right? It's a reality check moment. Something has to go. Something needs to be cleansed out. Something needs to be released. Something needs to be burnt out. Something needs to be shifted. And I love you, Capricorn, and I know last summer was the summer of the Tower, or the winter, whatever hemisphere you're in. About 10 months ago, we started, or even a year ago, we started having the Tower for you guys. And I'm starting to just think that maybe this is just something that happens with Capricorn energy because it's so consistent over time, right? But this is the thing with the Tower. Yeah, sure, it can be a surprise thing. Oh, wow, not doing that anymore, not having that relationship or that job. But the Tower can also be a tool that we use because the Tower speaks of toppling the power dynamic. It speaks of toppling the aristocracy, the ruling elite. And that can work on the literal front of having a boss that drives you crazy or, in our culture today with everything that's going on, toppling that. Absolutely, it can. But a lot of times I notice that the Tower is toppling an old power regime in your own head. An old set of priorities, the way you were prioritizing yourself or your energy, that getting toppled, right? It can also be something that emanates from you because you crave a change. You crave breaking away from anything that makes you feel this way. And seriously, anything that makes you feel this way, whether it's a mental programming where you get this way because you're not doing enough, you didn't work 16 hours that day, you didn't push yourself hard enough, you didn't try hard enough, you messed up, something didn't go right. That can emanate from within. It's got to go. And if somebody's not respecting your time or your space, got to go. Both, on both levels. It has to go. It has to go. And this is what's so great. You do that for yourself. You make that commitment to releasing those old thought patterns, to releasing those people that reflect back at you those thought patterns, releasing the feeling that you need to hold on to anything that you're doing so that you can say you showed up. You release those things that are weighing you down. What comes up? Emotional fulfillment, happiness, new horizons, new starts, fresh start, cup overflowing, partnership, beginning of something great. But I have to be honest, really the only way to get to this really rich vein of being, right, is to choose it. You've got to choose. And there is a moment of discomfort, right? There is a moment of growth discomfort that comes with that. And like I said, it doesn't have to be this cataclysmic thing. It can just be, if you have a friend who every time you hang out with them, they just talk about their own problems, they belittle yours, or something like that. It can be just as simple as just limiting your time around that, right? It's uncomfortable because you're like, oh, I'm used to just showing up and texting people back. I'm used to saying yes even when I don't mean it. That can be uncomfortable. It can feel like the tower. But really, something's got to change here. I'm seeing it. You guys, part of what's going on here, you know, Saturn is in your sign now. It was lurking in the corners, and now it's here, and it's been here for a few months. And part of what's going on is, you know, your ruling planet being home with you. Like I was saying with the authenticity with Uranus, wanting to get to your heart chakra core. So we have that level of truth bringing. And then we also have Saturn saying, we got to get real with things that aren't serving you anymore. We got to get real with what isn't working for you anymore. And I do think that partially you guys do put yourselves down. You do put a lot of pressure on yourselves, and that's causing some of this dissonance, and that's got to go. I also do think that, as usual with you guys, we always have to check in with where you're putting all this energy, where are you putting all this effort, because you've got to keep it pared down to what really reflects back at what you want. What do you want to plant? What do you want to see grow over the next 5 years? What really does not matter? What will be completely obsolete and maybe even completely forgotten in 5 years? Because I have a feeling there's something here that won't really matter even in 6 months, that you're somehow putting a lot of pressure on yourself for, and it's triggering all this. There's a lot going on with you, Capricorn. I'm not going to lie. But authenticity, there is no room. There is no room for anything but authenticity for yourselves this month. I can't say that enough. You guys are very authentic, and you really show up, and you really put a lot of effort in. But then that sometimes backfires on you, and suddenly you are no longer honoring what's going on in your heart chakra. Listen into that. Listen into that space this month, truly. Because there's a lot of good stuff on the other side. I mean, you ended with 10 of Cups, Ace of Cups. Awesome. Awesome. So the support is there. The support is there. All right, I'm going to close it out at that. I'm so happy that we had a moment to sit down here and talk today, Capricorn. I'm really curious to see what June brings our way and to see how this Uranus shift in energy is going to start affecting us all, because it will. It's a new chapter. I am going to be doing just a handful of recorded readings in May because my calendar is full in May. So if you're interested in one of those, email me. I'll leave my email in the description box. Just click on show more and it'll show all my info. Also, I'll leave my website up because I will be booking into June for Skype sessions and phone sessions and whatnot. So check that out as well. And then check me out on Instagram at the Sarah Tarot. I would love to see you guys over there. It's so much fun. Also, PinkLune, the goddess PinkLune. Speaking of Taurus season and Tauruses I love, she is a one-woman show. She handcrafts each of these pieces, ethically sourced, all, you know, full metals, no plating here, my friends. This is all rose gold, yellow gold filled, sterling silver filled material. It's just gorgeous. 15% off. I will link all of her stuff in the description box. I'm sending you guys all so much love for this beautiful May coming up.